wanna do the ordinary thing. I wanna break the rules and call it sick. I wanna dance like fools any chance we get. Say it's not a game, I disagree. I wanna do the ordinary thing. Wanna see the world standing next to you. Wanna spend my days walking in your shoes. Biggest things are smaller than they seem. I wanna do the ordinary things. Wanna lay in bed and just feel you there. I wanna drink you in till I'm in bed. We're on borrowed time, no matter what you think. I wanna do the ordinary things. Wanna see you sleep in my favorite shirt. I wanna hear you breathe and not say a word. Little things are bigger than they seem. I wanna do the ordinary thing. I wanna do the ordinary thing. I wanna do the ordinary thing.
All right, tonight's guest is a folk Americana duo streaming in from St. Louis, Missouri. What started out as a romance in 2014 very quickly turned into this band that is known for their incredible harmonies and emotional lyrics. After releasing their first self-titled album in 2017, they hit the road touring, visiting countless pubs, cafes, and even music festivals around the country. Since that album, they have been releasing a series of singles that tell a story of love, hope, and even heartbreak. Their newest single, which came out yesterday, is titled Why Don't You Stay? And it's the fourth chapter of that story, and we will hear it later on in the show. It's a pleasure to welcome to the show of Sea and Stone. Hey.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm great. Hey, thanks so much
so
for coming on the show. I know you guys have been busy with the whole release and everything.
Yeah, you always forget how busy these weeks are, actually. But yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're happy to be here.
Yeah.
Jinx.
Yeah.
I can't wait to play the song on the radio later in the show. It's really a great song, and I love how it fits into the story of everything, and I can't wait to talk more about that too. So again, congratulations on that song.
Thank you so much. It's been fun. It's been a busy week, but a good one.
Yeah.
Good. So I guess the first thing that stands out when anybody reads your bio on Spotify or online is that you met on Tinder. So apparently I've been using that app wrong because I never started a band from it. So do you want to tell us the story, I guess your kind of first impressions of each other, and then how did you discover that you both had this passion for music?
Yeah, absolutely. It is definitely a different story. I will tell you, you'll get a lot of little details here.
Okay, good.
So Luke and I actually met on Tinder back in 2013 at the end of the year. I deleted the app after we talked for a little while, and I'm like, oh, whatever. And then, and a month later, I get it back because you just never know. We ended up meeting, and I thought we, would maybe get a coffee and like chat or something like that. Because he had me meet him at the mall. There's a Target in the mall with like a Starbucks. So we were like, he's like, meet me in the Target parking lot of the mall. This is in Columbia, Missouri, our hometown. I'm like, okay, sure. So I drive there and I like park, and he tells me he drives like a gold Mustang. I'm like, okay, so I'm looking for that, and I'm in my little yellow Celica.
That should have been a tip off. You should have been like, I'm not meeting this guy.
Yeah. That really should have warned me. And I pull up and I just see him, and I look at the window and I like wave, and I'm like, hi. And he literally just takes his hand and he just motions me. He's like, and then he drives away. And I was like, okay, like this is not what I expected.
Right.
And then me, I don't know why, because
Poor judgment.
Yeah, there it is.
Mostly.
I think positively, which
Right.
was not, it worked for this, but I wouldn't recommend it. So I just drove after him, and I was like, okay, followed him. He like drives to his duplex that he was staying in. He gets out of the car, and what is the first thing you said to me about?
Oh yeah, I was like, I was worried because I had never actually met up with someone who I was talking to on Tinder, so I wanted to meet her in public so I could make sure she was who she said she was.
He thought he was getting catfished or something.
Oh yeah.
So I did consider from her point of view that if she really was this 110-pound girl, that she might also be intimidated by meeting me. It's a much more real threat. So
Right, I was gonna say much bigger than 110 pounds.
Yeah. The way I chose to soothe her worries was when we got out of the car. I said, "Don't worry, I like cleaned up my place and I put away like all my knives so you wouldn't be freaked out." I thought that would make her feel more comfortable.
I literally felt worse.
She's already broken one rule
Yeah.
on online dating. You don't just go straight to their house.
Ever.
And now it's like, oh, he has knives that he put away. At least you put them away. That's great.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted you to
put
feel
away all my
comfortable.
I'm like, oh my gosh, like, is this like a knife place? Like, do you have like all these different knives? You're like, oh, I put away all my knives. They're for the second date.
Man.
And I was like, okay. Like,
But you didn't just turn around right then.
I know. I'm like, I gave him 3 chances,
Too trusting.
Yeah.
But third time being the charm, we went inside, chatted for a little while, and got a lot more normal after that. And
Thank God.
It
and
couldn't get any worse.
Yeah, we were like chatting, and we were, we hitting it off, and then we were like, well, let's play some music together. We talked a little bit about the music we were gonna try and dabble in.
Oh,
And
okay.
I had been listening to the Civil Wars, and I told her about them, so she started listening to them, and we played Poison and Wine by them. It was the first song we played together.
Yeah.
And then we
On
just,
the playlist this week, by the way. I'm sorry to interrupt. But
Oh, you know what? I was
Yay.
gonna suggest it.
Right,
So
okay.
I'm glad to
Anyways,
know.
keep going. So play or Poison and Wine.
Yeah, we played Poison and Wine, and it was just like I had never really sang harmonies with anyone except for like poorly in high school choir, which our choir was like 7 people, and it was mostly people who just wanted to get out of class.
Okay.
So,
And that's why he joined it too,
yeah.
probably.
Yeah, but I had never sang with someone and blended vocally with someone like that before, and so I was blown away. She
And
was,
I was also blown away because I had been doing like shows and concerts and choirs and all kinds of stuff ever since I was little. And so just knowing like how hard it is to make a choir sound like one voice and all the training that's involved in that, all the different vocals and how you can blend it together. That's a lot of work. And to have met someone and within like the first 3 minutes of singing together, the blend was already there.
Wow.
I mean, I was really taken aback, and I was like, oh my gosh, we really need to do something because this is special. Like, you don't just get this like on Tinder, but okay.
Usually you have to pay for the premium app. For
Yeah.
No kidding.
Exactly.
Wow. Wow. So
Especially
it really just. Oh, what were you gonna say, Luke?
I was gonna say you especially don't get that on Tinder when you just go following people back to their houses right off the bat. It's
Yeah, to be
way
honest.
worse than that usually. But yeah, it worked out.
I'm glad it did. So let's talk a little bit more about your musical backgrounds. I mean, you kind of hinted at some of it. So, Luke, you were in the choir to ditch class, possibly, maybe. But when did you start playing guitar?
My dad bought me a guitar for my 8th birthday and the lessons, and so I have played guitar for quite some time. I guess over 20 years. But
Wow, okay.
I have not, based on. If you heard me play guitar, you'd say he's probably been at it for a couple of years. Because I'm a rhythm guitar player.
Okay.
I do pick, but like if you ask me to play a specific solo from like a, I can't play Stairway to Heaven or anything like that. But yeah, so I've been playing guitar since I was 8, and I did some choir stuff. I always liked performing in front of people. But I never really did that in a serious way. It was just for the fun of it. Until towards the end of college, in college, I started just writing my own music just as a hobby. And then the closer I got to the end of college, I was planning on becoming a football coach. And I just, the more I talked about it with people and with my parents, they were like, if you're going to try and be a musician, if you want to do that, then you would better do it now because
Right.
In 10 years you're not going to have the time. Once you have kids and all the responsibilities of life, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. So I was looking to give it more of a serious shot, and that's partly why I reached out to her on Tinder. Partly
Okay.
that. Obviously there are other reasons.
So you played football?
I was on the football team in high school. I did
Okay.
not play a whole lot, but that's why I was trying to coach it.
Oh.
But I ran it a lot of practice, and I figured out pretty much by about the 4th or 5th day of practice, we had to run this. It was just called The Hill at my high school. And when I was about halfway up the hill, I realized the coaches were still standing at the bottom, and that's who I wanted to be. So.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I pretty much knew halfway through my 4th practice, I'm going to be a football coach if I'm going to have a long career in this industry.
Yeah, and you had that job offer too when I met
Well,
you.
yeah, for high school coaching. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and then you turned it down.
I did. I was going to move to Nashville and coach at a high school down there and kind of do music, try and do both, but then once we sang together, it just kind of turned on a dime. So.
Wow. Wow. She
I still-
turned you that quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
In one day.
Just cascading bad decisions.
Yeah. She's like, gold Mustang. Nice. Okay, I'll just steal them. All right. So Morgan, you said that you've had a longer history of music. Is that right?
Yeah. So generally, I guess, especially vocally, that's kind of where I started. When I was 2, I was always putting on shows for my parents, and I'm the oldest of 4. So I was always, let's do a show, let's sing. Like I liked kind of doing, being on stage, I guess, at a young age. And then my parents, saw me thriving in that and threw me into choir and honors choir and all this as I was growing up, which really helped me to learn a lot and to work on my vocal. And then getting to high school, that's when I first started. I actually started piano lessons, and then in high school is when I started writing a little bit. That's like kind of inspirations were very like piano, solo vocal, like Ingrid Michaelson, Regina Spektor, kind of like that for a while. And I did musicals and show choir and all that stuff. So I kind of was used to blending my voice with others. And honestly, until I met Luke, that's when I really found like what is my like solo vocal like, because I had some solos and stuff in choir, but you're really trained to sing in a different manner.
Right.
So I was kind of like in that a little bit, in that realm, and meeting him and kind of getting to do this more creative outlet with writing and I guess this indie folk outlet, it kind of helped me find my true voice for performance. So it's been a really cool change throughout my life, but yeah.
It's great. I mean, we joked that there were some bad decisions, but I think you guys made a lot of really good decisions in deciding to start this. So pretty quickly, I mean, immediately you guys really hit it off, and then you talk more and you're like, okay, let's do this band. And then you come up with the name Of Sea and Stone. How does that happen?
Well, actually, we came up with a name that wasn't nearly as cool, called A Simple Exchange.
Oh,
and we performed around Columbia and Missouri as that for
2 years?
like a year and a half, I guess.
Yeah.
And then when we got married in 2016, and we moved to Austin, Texas, and that's when we really started kind of honing in more on like what our sound was, and we recorded our first album, and in that process we just realized we didn't want to completely reset, but we wanted to kind of rebrand and have a new image, so
And make it metaphorical.
Yeah.
And like this imagery.
make the name mean a little more, just because if you listen to our stuff on Spotify, you're not going to find like a whole lot of stuff about going out on a Friday night, and like it's not a lot of stuff. Like all our stuff has meaning, so we thought our name should too. It's part of the image.
right. Yeah.
And so we messed with so many different names and like lists and lists of names, and we finally settled on Of Sea and Stone because I think it embodies the two of us pretty well. Morgan's very emotional and flowy, emotional in a good way. I'm not.
I mean, it depends on the day.
yeah. But she's very emotional and what's the other thing? Empathetic too. Like other people's emotions also have a big effect on her.
The
And
Enneagram 2 for
yeah.
anyone who is
okay.
into that.
but
So very like
yeah, just,
empathetically driven, and like you'll also see on stage, I'm really moving. Why he's very stoic, very
Right.
stone like. I'm always all around, so I just like.
so she's a
woo.
sea and I'm the stone,
Yeah.
and we also like that, in the context that they're together, when the sea is crashing against the stone, like not only do they like they come apart, but they're always coming back together to each other,
Right.
which we liked also.
Yeah,
And
they
at
oppose,
times-
but they come together to
Yeah.
create something.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. And eventually the sea wears away at the stone until it's nothing.
He just likes to say that.
Or softens the edges. So that
Yeah.
it's
Yes.
Not as,
That is also a way to say it.
slowly eat away.
Yeah, no, exactly. But
Just you always have to do that to me. It's pretty good.
So you moved to Austin
Yeah.
pretty quickly, and then so I was looking at your tour history, and right around when you started recording and everything, I think your first show, at least listed on the website, was South by Southwest, which is an amazing first show. I'm sure that wasn't your first. I mean, you talked about how you played
Yeah.
at smaller places, but that's a big venue.
Yeah, so we did. So it was cool because we lived in Austin. So there's like all these unofficial showcases and like
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
official showcases. And so I think we had 2 unofficial showcases that year.
No, we had-
or did we have the one the first time? I can't remember.
we had a few.
So they do like there's
Good.
so much music, and like every venue's totally filled, and that was the first one under our name Of Sea and Stone when we rebranded.
I guess that's
So that's why
yeah.
it's the first one listed for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that for one, there's tons of people out and
Yeah.
about,
Oh,
and
yeah.
for 2, it was a really cool experience, and we love Austin with all of our heart.
Yeah.
That city's incredible.
And South by is very cool. It is pandemonium, but
It
it's
is.
yeah.
I
it's
want
cool.
to go to it, but I've heard that it is like nothing else. Like there's,
Yeah, and Austin Austin has just gotten. We contributed to it for sure, but Austin is so I mean, there's just so many people there now.
Mm-hmm.
For how big of a town it is, because it's not that big of it's a
Right.
small, big city.
Mhm.
Man, there's so many people there now. It's crazy to see how much it's grown just since we moved there and have since moved back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a ton of fun, and
You
that
should
whole
definitely
week,
go.
I
Yeah.
can't recommend it enough.
Maybe we'll all
Just,
go next
you know,
year.
Hey, there we go.
Let's hope it. Yeah.
Do you think you'll be
2 years.
back in it? Do you think you'll play back in the
I
festival?
hope so. We'll see.
Yeah.
We're going to do our application here soon, actually. That's coming up. So
Yeah.
we'll see what that's like.
Yeah, we don't know what to expect with a lot of different stuff because
Well, yeah, it's hard to know
it
right
just-
now.
It feels like, you know, when you're at this certain point of momentum after everything that's gone on the last year, you know, how much it's just weird and it's just hard to know what is going to matter to people after a year as far as it comes to booking and all that, because it's not like you can point to like, oh yeah, we played 200 shows last year and like we have this and that, or we opened for this person. So it's gonna
Yeah,
be
but
a
everyone
little-
is in the same
everyone's in
playing
the same-
field. So,
yeah.
Right.
you know,
Yeah,
everyone who's on
no
our
one's
level is
had
in the same-
anything
in
like
the same
that.
playing field. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Wow.
I'm just hopeful that so far it's supposed to be back next year.
Yeah.
So
Well, I can't imagine it wouldn't be. I mean,
Right,
come
yeah.
on.
cross our fingers,
It's
everyone.
such a huge festival, and it's
Yeah.
been going. How long has it been going for?
Gosh, that is a good
it's-
question.
It's got to be 30 years by now. I want to say right
At
around
least.
30 years, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's been a pretty long time.
Yeah.
But that's so awesome that you could be a part of that festival, even so early on in your career. And now, if you apply and you get accepted again, hopefully your name will be a little bit bigger font.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
get some of those main stages.
It's some of those official showcases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said you moved to Austin, but you also mentioned on your bio, and I said in the introduction, that you guys kind of packed up and did a lot of touring. I mean, that whole 2017, 18, even in 19 and 20 during the pandemic, you guys were still touring a lot. So did you really just kind of live out of a van and tour around? How'd that work?
Pretty consistently. So this was our first tour ever. It was 6 weeks long, which is pretty big for the first tour. We had bought an RV, so we packed all of our stuff and filled our family's houses with our boxes.
Yeah, that's why we moved back to St. Louis. Like, we couldn't
Yeah.
afford to pay rent for an empty apartment.
Yeah, like
Right, yeah.
rent for an empty
Austin.
apartment with the storage, all of
Yeah.
our stuff. So we ended up, leaving, and we did that. Lived out of the RV, especially for that first 6 weeks, just totally hit it like just the first time ever. And we went all across. We did a big central to west coast tour, that first one, and we came back. And then we do a lot of 2 weeks off, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off,
okay.
3 weeks on, and it kind of became a little more sustainable, just in that for one, that 6 week tour, it's so much ground to cover so quickly, and generally we'd have 3 shows in a row. We made the mistake of playing LA one night and then San Francisco, right?
Yeah, didn't realize how.
The next night.
Didn't realize that.
They're not close together.
No.
No, they're in the same
We're like,
state.
oh,
but
we'll
they're
drive
pretty far
overnight.
apart.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Then we're like, okay.
Didn't
We
realize
learned a lot that
It's a
first 6
long
weeks.
state,
Yeah.
California. Yeah.
And we're still driving.
Yes. And poor Luke, he's the only one that can drive the RV, because it's how long is it?
It's 30 feet long. And
Yeah.
it's just,
Oh, my.
and in San Francisco, you don't
Oh
you don't
my
want to drive at
goodness,
all
yeah.
in San Francisco,
No.
much less in a 30-foot RV.
So we learned to do things a little smarter, and same with New York. We'll
Oh,
fly
my
into New York.
goodness. Yeah, yeah.
We
we don't
rent a car.
we don't take the RV up there. We fly and run a car.
So
and
we
drive.
learned a lot, and
But-
so that 2 weeks on, and we just kind of dabble with that and kind of keep it
Yeah,
fair, pretty much full time, but we'd have that time at home too to recoup and then go back.
yeah,
So,
Okay. So you still have the RV?
yeah,
we do.
it needs a renovation.
Yeah, it's last time we had it out on tour. I guess it was 2019.
At the end of the year.
We started the roof needed repairs, so
Well, we were just driving, and all of a sudden we start hearing this whop, 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 and I'm like,
yeah.
what is that? And the
Oh, no.
rubber
Roof's starting to
roof
peel back.
peeled off.
Yeah.
I think
So-
because all the sun and
Yeah.
all the places
Well,
we had
yeah,
been,
we're
and
out.
it
And-
had a few years under its belt.
Yeah, it
Right.
did. So we, I haven't got, and it's only been 2 years.
We
I
had to
haven't
get
gotten it
Flex
fixed
Seal.
yet.
Oh,
yeah.
Every
Well,
Walmart.
we actually, when we bought this house, I needed to put a roof on the RV, but I was like, no, right now we just need to tarp it, and because we had bought this house that we're in right now, and this thing was also a gut rehab that we were trying to do, and still tour and stuff. And I'm like, one thing I
was a
don't
lot.
have time for is the RV.
Right.
And we got this house finished, and that's great. But then I went back to the RV, and I'm like, that tarp wasn't all it was cracked up to be.
Oh,
so
no.
yeah, so we've decided we're just gonna completely gut the RV now,
Yep.
and it'll be like brand new when we get done.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So,
And
Silver
right,
lining.
right in time for some more touring, hopefully.
Exactly. Let's hope. Yeah.
yeah.
All right, so I want to play the new song right now.
Yeah.
But what do you think would be best? Because the song that I played at the beginning, "Ordinary Things," goes along with the story, and that's one of the earlier, what you call chapters, singles in the series. So, let's see. Do you want to say a little bit about the series as a whole, and then I'll play the new song, and then we can really talk about "Ordinary Things" in the new song and how it all kind of fits together?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, so, okay, Luke and I dreamed up this kind of idea, honestly, when COVID hit and everything pivoted, and we had, this whole expectation, and I know a lot of people did, of touring and, like, being on the road, and when all of that happened, we really pivoted to what can we do right now, and it was recording, and it was be creative, and obviously we still did a few shows and some virtual stuff, but we just dreamed this whole thing up one night. Honestly, I think you were the first one that thought about how could we fit all these pieces together, because they're all our songs that we've written. And then we just started piecing them together and putting them in this order to tell this story, which ended up being like this 8-part series. So we have 8 chapters. Chapter 1 was Ordinary Things, and it all revolves around this couple. So you don't really know what happens till the next chapter.
Okay.
Yeah, Ordinary
All right.
Things
Good.
is that chapter, and Why Don't You Stay is chapter 4.
Okay, and there's some like the other, chapter 2 and 3 are amazing, and I love how it kind of fits together and flows. I just wanted to play every song, but I can't do it every time for the interview. But I'm really glad and honored to play this newer one on the show
Thank you.
tonight. So yeah, I'll play it now. I'll shut up so we can hear some good music. This is "Why Don't You Stay" by Of Sea and Stone.
Guess we should let some things go. It's so hard, I know. What would those stupid kids say? Would anything change? Or are we talking to go? I don't wanna ask you to stay, darling, it's sure getting there. So I won't let go. You've had it all, I know. And you cried all the way to Tupelo. Darling, it's not my name, but it's written all over your face. So why don't you stay? Why don't you stay? I had something for you, but the drugs took it first. We live and we learn. And even when you're at home, you're always alone. Think I could hear what I heard. I don't wanna ask you to stay, but darling, you're here anyway. So I won't let go. You've heard it all, I know. You cry, 'cause the dead don't see ghosts. Darling, it's not my place. And it's written all over your face. So why don't you stay? Why don't you stay? Honey, you feel it, not in your bones. It's only skin deep, and everyone knows. And it's been so long since I knew what to say. There's not enough roses to numb all the pain. So why don't you stay? Why don't you stay? So I won't let go. You've heard it all, I know. You cry, 'cause there's no place like home. We both know it's not my name, but darling, it's written all over your face. So why don't you stay? Why don't you stay? Why don't you stay?
Oh, that's so good. Ah, I love that one. So on your Instagram, you said that song, you've had that song for a few months already, and you've kind of gone back to it a couple of times. Was it one of the earlier ones that you wrote in this series, or why was, what is it about this song? What's the story behind this song?
Yeah, I guess last summer, about a year ago, probably actually, we were at a show in a neighborhood here in St. Louis, actually, because a lot of the neighborhoods here were just having people come out to like their front yard and stuff, and everybody would just sit in their yard and set up a sound system and play music for them. And for whatever reason, I started playing the opening chords of that song, like just messing around between songs. And then I started writing it like at that show, and then we came home and wrote it that night. And like the next day, I'm like, I really, really like this song. It just got kind of a, a nice feel, a nice lilt to it. And then we started recording it like last October maybe or something. But it was, for one, wanted it to fit in the story the right way once we came up with the story, and for two, it was we wanted to make sure that the song, like that we did it justice. We wanted to, we didn't want to rush anything from a production standpoint. And it was hard though, because
It was a hard song.
Yeah. It was hard to sit on it too, because
Yeah.
I went in and played guitar, and the take you just heard, I sang it. I thought I sang it a lot. I don't know how much people know about recording, but a lot of times the songs you hear are either they're either many takes, or they are many takes, but eventually they settle on one, or they do it a bunch of times and they take different parts of those takes and kind of stitch them together, and then from there they'll kind of tune it up and put it out. And that one, I'm not normally that great in the studio, but I walked in there and I just sang it. That's the only take we ever did for my vocal on it. And so it was
In
like
one take.
It was like my favorite
Wow.
song, and we had to sit on it for like a year. Or I'm just like, can we just release this thing? I don't think I've ever sang better, and we've got it on tape.
It's recorded.
It's not just a myth. I had it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and so it was a long process of just making sure that we hit all the right notes as far as, you know, intrinsically, sort of like that.
Yeah.
That where there needed to be a little sound, there was one, and
Yeah, and it just made it because like when he did that take too, like the engineer and I were just sitting in there like honestly like tears in our eyes because we were like, oh my gosh, this is so moving. So then I had to come back, you know, a separate day, and so the trouble with that is it was really hard for me because that passion that was there with him that day, you know, I had to like make sure that I was bringing that to the table on a separate day with my vocal on top of his, you know, and so it was a lot of work. We worked really hard on it, and we wanted it to be, you know, everything that it is. So we had to sit on it a while, and we had to retake and retake.
It's
for
also
me.
it's a little bit different feel of a song. Obviously, from the first song to that one, you know, this one's a little bit more like, I would say, a little bit more of an indie rock feel versus that really folky kind of feel in the first one, and that's different for us. So it was getting the right production on it was a little different because it's a different sort of song, but we like the way it turned out.
Yeah, no, it's great. Brendan on YouTube asked in the comments, do you have a favorite setting for writing music? Because you talked about how you kind of just played around with that at the festival and then came home and really wrote it. So what does the writing process look like?
I will
always
write
different.
anywhere. Yeah. I'll write anywhere. Like, I just, when I'm starting a song, I usually end up, like, I'll be messing around on guitar, and it'll just be like something I do on guitar that seems easy to sing to. And a lot of times I don't have like an idea for a song. So, I mean, it's anywhere I'm playing guitar usually, but at times if I hear something that kind of, or I say something or somebody says something, I'm like, that'd be a good hook or lyric, I do write it down. And I mean, if I had a preferred place, I would say like, you know, somewhere relatively secluded, either in the mountains or on a beach, but I don't get to do that a whole lot. So,
There's not many beaches in St. Louis.
No, there's not. So,
No.
so I mean, the place that I end up writing most of my songs is either our front porch or on the couch here.
And well, one thing that really surprises me with you is while you're driving, you're always coming up with great lyrics, and then
Really?
Yeah, while
you're
I drive.
driving, and he was like, but we use voice memos a lot for lines, for
But
melodies.
It feels like, because I have these ideas in my head and you're hearing the whole song, and then you're like, want to put it on a voice memo, and I feel like such an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, so I end up sounding like more of an idiot because I'm like trying to not let her hear, who is literally my wife, who I can trust with anything.
Right, yeah.
And I'm afraid she's going to think I sound dumb. So I'm like making weird noises into my phone, like quietly, while we drive down the road.
While we're
And she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, it's a song. Never mind.
Like I'm not doing anything?
Yeah.
It cracks me up. We get some good songs that way, though.
It's
awesome.
a surprising amount.
So you said that this is an 8-chapter kind of story, and this is only
Yeah.
chapter 4. Is it going to be an album? I mean, there's so many questions I have about it. Are you going to put it all together in an album, or do you think you're going to keep it singles? This is my first question.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and answer that one. No,
Sorry.
because the next one's going to be a lot heavier, I think. So go ahead.
Okay, so the idea with this is that you get the album vibe with the single world that we live in.
okay.
All the singles are coming out. You know, that seems to be a lot of what drives the algorithms and the industry, really.
Yeah,
I mean, it
streaming
is.
very single-centered.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
single-centered.
is.
So our thought process was, how cool would it be to bring people not only on this journey with our songs like we like to do anyway, but we take them through this whole story and give them the idea of this album that we're doing with like the correct algorithm, you know, for Spotify and streaming. And then later we're going to press it all onto vinyl.
Yeah.
So you've got one side for the first half of the series and the other side for the second. And
Okay.
we'll use our artwork, which is also line art by artist Kinsey Manson, who she does
Okay.
amazing
Right.
work for us. That also tells that story in a visual sense. So we'll be able
Oh,
to
okay.
like do something, I'm not totally sure what, but we're going to have that as part of the package for the vinyl when we sell that.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you can kind of see it all visually in the artwork and then also hear the story.
That's going to be so amazing. Yeah. So immediately I was thinking vinyl and how cool it would be to put these
Mm-hmm.
singles together in a series, like even maybe keeping the singles as a vinyl.
Yeah.
There was the guest I had on last week. That's what they do. They love pressing kind of old school vinyls,
Yes.
and with the singles in particular.
Yeah.
So that would be just so cool to have that all together, and having it together as a full album. Yeah, I can't wait for that. So, but
Neither can we.
do the songs come from a personal place? Like, are these about relationships that you guys had before that didn't work?
In some sense,
in
yes.
a way, yeah.
Like the songs that we've written many times, like I don't know that I don't have a relationship in my past that's as traumatic as the song would make it appear.
Okay, good.
But definitely it's inspired by our past. Like for Why Don't You Stay specifically, my parents are one inspiration for that because they're still together, but definitely I've seen them go through some rough times and stuff.
And my parents kind of inspire, my parents got a divorce when I was younger. So it is a lot about, those relationships and why don't you stay? And it's kind of open-ended too. Like, do they stay or not? And it can fit either way.
Go on. But no, I mean, since some of the songs are more driven personally, like Ordinary Things, on the other hand, like I actually wrote that one in our first month in Austin, so that we sat on that one for a long time before we recorded it.
Oh, okay.
And it felt right because of the pandemic and
Right.
everybody wanted to do Ordinary Things, but also
Right, yeah.
that's a song that we, for us, that's how we wanted to live our lives too, together. And the Day Before Everything, that's another one in the series. That's fairly personal. My dad was always saying how we leave the day before everything, because he's always asking me to help him with something. And I said, we're leaving the day before that, actually, for tour. And he's like, you guys leave the day before everything. So I wrote a song just to be a smart aleck.
Yep.
But, so in that way, in that sense, it's personal. But in the
Exactly,
sense
yeah.
that we were as destroyed as these people in the songs are, not necessarily. But
Okay. That's good. I was kind of heartbroken for you guys that you could, that you had to experience some of this. I mean, some of it I can really relate to. And the next song I'm going to play, I think I'll play that right now. I think is one that I could relate to a lot. So it's not part of the series. This was kind of written in between your last album and the series you have now. It's called I Love You Goodbye. Very powerful. And this is the song that I heard. I think you guys sang it live on a certain app that can no longer be mentioned because people do weird things now when you talk about the app. Just, I don't know. I don't get it. But anyways, I think you did sing it on that app, and I was just blown away. And just, I don't know, couldn't give you, I wanted to give you flowers, but I am a nobody on that app. So when I say something like, who's this guy? But really, really amazing. So we won't have much time to talk about it after I play it. So why don't you talk about this song now and inspiration for that and how this
Absolutely.
kind of all came together?
And this one is, I guess I would say it's probably the most deeply personal song for me that we've written and released. And it really, I had a pretty long-term relationship before Luke, where it obviously, didn't work out. And grateful for that because now I have Luke. But
Right.
it really rocked me and brought me lower than I'd ever been. And it taught me a lot of things about myself.
Okay.
So that I Love You Goodbye, it was a really passionate song for me. And it's hard to sing sometimes. But now I'm so blessed with what I have. But it's definitely something that stems from me in that realm. Like,
Yeah, it's not as like I said, nothing that really affected me to that degree. But I mean, it's somewhat personal because obviously I've had relationships that end, and it's also I feel like being able to observe and maybe understand how people feel as they go through these things is sort of a strength of mine, not just in songwriting, but just in my personal relationships. And so I definitely know it's a fairly universal feeling, you know,
Right.
something that everyone goes through at some point. And
Yeah.
that was why I wrote it, was more for those folks.
Okay, and I love the video to it on YouTube. You guys have a lot of really great videos, a mixture of kind of, you know, produced videos for the songs, but also some live videos, some stuff in the kitchen. So,
thank you so much.
so yeah, it's a really great video, really powerful song. So,
Yeah.
all right, here is "I Love You Goodbye" from Of Sea and Stone.
Will half the truth ever be enough for you?
Will half my love ever be enough to get you through?
Poison on your lips pulls me closer while your eyes push me away.
Two ships sailing in the same direction, but the winds have somehow changed.
I don't know how to say I love you. I don't know how to say goodbye. I don't know how to say I love you and goodbye at the same time. Maybe I should chase you every time you drive away.
I wish you'd remember you promised to do more than stay.
The fire in your eyes burning brighter, but it doesn't burn for me.
I wish I knew how not to love you, but those chains won't set me free.
I don't know how to say I love you. I don't know how to say goodbye. I don't know how to say I love you and goodbye. The same time.
So I'm pretty sure that when I first heard that song, I cried the first time, and then listened to it on repeat just because of where I was at in my life. It was so
gosh.
like on point for what I was going through. But ultimately, on the other side of it, has turned out pretty well. And I think because of the reflection that song has, like it's hard to say both.
Yeah.
So
Gosh.
I don't know. There's just so much. That's such a great song. So
I'm so sorry you went through that, but I also like that connection that it can bring to you
Right.
is so moving to me. And like I think that's a lot of why that song, like it can touch people's hearts, and just like having that bond between you and that song and our music, you know, that means a lot, you know.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're not
It's-
alone.
yeah. I know that. And what's really great about that song is it was helpful to help me move to the next, and ultimately like not have to choose between, you know, or
Good.
not having to say both of those, but really choose one and kind of go with it. So ultimately, it was good. It helped get through that crisis, but
Good. I'm
it came
glad.
at the right time. So thank you.
Yeah.
I guess with that's kind of a hard transition into talking about the Crisis Songs playlist. So again, we talked about on Instagram that you came up with the theme of soundtrack to a crisis, and this song immediately came to mind. But there were a lot of other ones. What are some songs that you guys had? You both mentioned one, but what are some other favorite songs for Crisis?
Yeah, so definitely that No Hard Feelings that we kind of talked about by the Avett Brothers. Such a good song.
Yeah, we like. I got a whole bunch of them, but you know, and it kind of like, and you can tell from the playlist that some of the stuff you put together already. There's like there's sort of two sides to that soundtrack as well. Like, yes, there's songs like there's a song called "Elephant" by Jason Isbell that is maybe the saddest song ever written.
Such a good song.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
And
Yep.
it's, you know, that's the sad part of it, and you can kind of live in that sadness. But at the same time, there are songs that, like, you know, there would be a happy side to a songs for Crisis thing, which
Right.
I don't really consider because I like sad songs.
Right.
But
But like Drew Holcomb and the Neighbors, that "What Would I Do Without You"
Right.
is
Yeah.
a good idea of that. It's like a reflection on like what would I do without you.
Yeah.
I'm so blessed and lucky to have what
and
I
like
have.
you need songs to really like Bowie you too. So
Yeah.
Right.
you know, but so I had like "Elephant" by Jason Isbell, or "If We Were Vampires," same guy.
So yeah, both
so
of those are
good.
amazing.
Yeah. And then the other one I was thinking of is "Stop This Train" by John Mayer. Specifically, if you're
Okay.
thinking about existential crisis, because I contemplate my mortality more than most people. I'm just like, at least once a day, I'm like, can you believe that I just like look around and everyone's milling about their day and they're stocking grocery shelves or hanging drywall, and you know, sometimes in my case, or whatever they're doing, they just go along, and I'm like, my gosh, like in 50 years, a lot of us won't like be here anymore. Like, what are we
Right.
doing?
It's a wild thing to
And so
think.
that's sort of
is.
what "Stop This Train" is just about. How it's a song about how fast everything moves, and how there's no getting off, and but it's sort of a hopeful song,
Right.
too. And it just, you know, it's just really well written, and it always reminds me like better enjoy whatever it is that you're doing that day. Make sure you laugh while you're doing it, something,
Right.
because there is no getting that time back.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of my thoughts about it.
I'm right there with you. I think about death all the time. Probably, I'm glad that we both think about it
Yep.
a lot. So. All right, Morgan. We got about 5 minutes before the station identification cuts us off. What do you have?
Okay. So like I was saying, that "What Would I Do Without You?" "When the Party's Over" is also a really good existential crisis song. "Fix You" by Coldplay.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that's a good.
That one
Like-
breaks me every single
yeah,
time.
any of those. "Misty." Oh, I know you will agree though too.
Yeah,
"Misty"
Misty
by
by
Camp. Super good song. Also, I just love that song.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Yeah, and all of them, as it's just like most of the songs we listen to are sad,
Turns out,
which is why we came up with this idea for the playlist.
I really, yeah, it's something honestly, it's sometimes a struggle to. I mean, it's a blessing and a curse because there's so much good music that
Yeah.
is so meaningful, but like sometimes when you look at the landscape of music, it's like does anybody want this? Like, there is a market
Right.
for it, but
Right.
but the overwhelming, thing that's pushed all the time is the TikTok, and I don't mean the
Right.
app. I mean the song by Kesha. Just like the party songs and stuff, and
Right.
and like that's just
Wasn't
stuff that's,
she ahead of her time?
Yeah,
I
it's
know,
like,
right?
yeah, how is that not big on the app now? But
We better use that.
yeah. But it's just for me. I'd never like people like I'll be like running on a treadmill and people will be like, "What do you listen to?" I'm like, "Oh, if we were vampires." Like it's like makes you want to just stop and
Yeah.
cry. But I just something about it,
Well, it's like deep reflection, and it
Right.
drives you, I think.
Mm,
You know?
And I have no trouble. My thing has always been with party songs and that kind of stuff. And people wonder why I like listening to sad music. I have never had trouble having fun. Like, I'm a happy-go-lucky person, and if I go out to a party or a bar or something, I don't even need the music. Matter of fact, I like to hear myself talk a lot, so I turn the music down. So I just have the part of my personality that needs something to latch onto to tease it out, I guess, is that more emotional part. And so that's why I find myself connecting to it more. And
Yeah.
hopefully anybody who wants to come listen to our music is in the same boat, because that's what you're going to get a lot of.
Yeah.
It's not a dance party.
No, it's not.
Though we have a folky, stomp
Yeah,
grass
we do.
couple songs,
'Cause, we do
but
have to-
you're not going to be like getting down in a bar. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly.
And I like what you said on Instagram when we had that kind of preview earlier in the week, how some of the songs can be more upbeat, but it's
Yeah.
still kind of the lyrics behind it that really drive everything home. And I think that's a great mix of really chill, like that song we heard there, but then also kind of ordinary things with a little bit more up tempo at the end.
Yeah, everything meaningful.
Yeah.
That's what you'll get from us.
That's the main thing. Yeah.
Oh, well, it's great. I love all the music. I love that cover you did on your first album of somebody you used to know. I think that's the name of the song. I get it wrong all the time, but that was
somebody that I used to know.
yeah, somebody that I used to know. That's a great song and a great cover.
Thank
I'm
you.
really glad that you both said yes on Tinder.
Yeah, me
if I
too.
can say that.
Yeah, we did.
That
Yeah.
sounds weird for me to say, but there you go.
Oh, and I have to
Um,
say hi to Kinsey on YouTube. I just saw her comment. I just
Yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
quick say
She
hi.
just popped up. So she loves you guys, and I know a lot of other people do as well. So on the other side of 7 o'clock, if I can just have you for just a couple more minutes, I want to talk about kind of what's coming up touring wise, and how people can really follow you, and talk a little bit more about your website. You guys have a lot of great merch on there.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that on the other side of 7 o'clock. But
Thank you.
also something I want to say, if you are following this show on Instagram at Music from Friends, in the link tree in my bio, there is a virtual tip jar for the artists. Any money that's in that by Monday goes right back to the artist. You can give in that tip jar on the Cash App and also Venmo. That's a new addition. So there's 2 different ways that you can give to the artists to support them, and to just say, hey, I love listening to your music, but I also love what you guys are doing, and want to help support this tour and the reno of the RV that's coming up. So I'm
Yes,
sure anything would be
please.
anything would be
you.
appreciated. So,
And if you just want to come by and help, that'd be fine
Right.
too. If you're in the area.
there'll be signups for that later as well. All right. So thank you again both so much for coming on. All right. So how can we, the website, how can we follow you, and what's coming up in the future for YouTube?
Yeah, we are www.ofseeandstone.com. At that link, you can find all of our socials, but we're pretty much Of Sea and Stone on every social media. You can also get our merchandise and our music links on our website. So if y'all are interested, please meet us there. We also love messages. If you want to message us or email us, info@ofseeandstone.com. We'd love to talk. House shows are always a fun thing, and we like to meet everyone that we get to know personally, like our fans, and that's one of our favorite parts of doing this.
Yeah,
Besides sharing our songs. But yeah, so we've got some shows coming up. We're going to be in Boise, Idaho in October. So as long as everything stays, the way it is at this point.
Or gets better.
Or gets better, right?
Right, yeah.
We'll be out in Boise through the middle of October. We've got some more stuff close to home here in Missouri. We'll be at Fernway September 11th. We'll be at Florissant Street Festival September 22nd, which is in St. Louis. A few things like that pretty close to home, but our touring should be coming hopefully soon, 2022. Definitely keep an eye out. We'll have those dates coming out.
You're naming things, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that.
I forgot.
I do keep the organization
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
in this.
Somebody does it.
Right.
I forgot all about that.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. And will all the singles be out by the 2022 tour?
We're hoping, they'll
Yeah.
be all. We're gonna probably take a little bit of a break
Through the holidays.
through the holidays and everything. Just it's a hectic time for releasing music.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
because everybody wants to listen to Christmas music
Right, yeah.
ad nauseum for 3 months.
Yeah.
So.
Everything kind of gets shut down.
Yeah,
playlist
yeah,
wise, or,
everything gets
yeah.
superseded by Feliz Navidad.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we'll start back up after the holidays, and and then hopefully have all that finished up and have a full slate for 2022, and definitely check out the website because that's where it'll all be, and there's
Absolutely.
a good chance we'll be coming somewhere near you.
Awesome. And please back up to Boston. I know you've come twice already, but
we'd
this
love
time
to.
I'm not going to miss you.
We were supposed to play a few shows in Boston, like we got this house done and we went our first weekend out, and by the next weekend the whole world was shut down. But we were supposed to play up in Boston and in New Hampshire. There's a pavilion
yeah.
up there.
Okay. Yeah. Bank of
and-
America Pavilion in Boston. Is that the one?
New Hampshire.
Oh, New
Is it the
Hampshire one,
New Hampshire
okay.
one?
Yeah.
New Hampshire
Okay.
Pavilion, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were supposed to play at a Lumineers show there, and
Yeah.
wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
and,
But
it didn't-
COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, COVID.
So we were.
We'll cross our fingers that lines back up in the future.
But yeah,
Okay.
we were. We'll definitely be out and about as soon as we possibly can.
Absolutely.
Okay. Good. And this time I'm kind of glad you kind of missed that in New Hampshire because now I know about you and now I get to see you. So
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
when you stop by this way, let me know. I will squeeze you in. Even if there's a guest the first hour, definitely have you guys on
love
the second
that.
hour or something just to catch up and see how it's going.
Yeah.
And, I want to meet you in person. So
Yeah, let's
same
get
here.
dinner.
Yeah.
right. Yes. Let's definitely get dinner. So you two are amazing. I wish you the best of luck, even though I don't need to because the music is amazing. So it's going to go a long way. You've already been super successful. I don't know how many more flowers I can give you. So
Thank you so much. It means the world coming from you. So thank
Good.
you.
Good. Well, thank you for coming on the show. And if you want to hang out and listen to the playlist, I'm going to play this hour. I'm going to give a couple of shout outs. I'm going to play the two songs that you guys mentioned right away, the No Hard Feelings and What Would I Do Without You. So those are going to start us, and then we'll get into some more Crisis songs. So
I love it.
Perfect.
great. Well, thanks so much again for coming on the show, and I will see you and talk to you later.
All right.
Thanks so
Have a good
much.
one.
All right. Bye.